It is now 7 p.m., and I call the May 27th, 2014 Board of Selectmen meeting to order. In accordance with the open meeting law, this meeting is being recorded. Is anyone else in the audience recording this meeting? Seeing none, would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is the reorganization of the board. Are there any nominations for chair? Mr. Holstrom.
I'd like to nominate Doreen Goodrich for chairman.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any additional nominations for chair? Hearing none, I will now take a roll call vote for the nominee for chair, Doreen Goodrich. We'll start with Mr. Holstrom.
Yes.
Mrs. Brotherton.
Yes.
Mr. Simonian.
No.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mrs. Goodrich.
Yes.
Thank you. The chair is now elected chair, and I'd like to turn the gavel back to the chair for the vote on the vice chair.
Okay, thank you. So I will now open nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to recommend Mr. Holstrom.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Are there any further nominations for vice chair? I'll close nominations for vice chair. At roll call vote, Mr. Holstrom?
Yes.
Mrs. Brotherton?
Yes.
Mr. Simonian?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Carpenter, yes, and the chair votes yes.
I think we should
Congratulations.
switch seats there, Ken.
Oh, take your name tag.
Thank you.
Vice chair, here are the comments, and this is the item.
Okay, for the new agenda item?
Yes.
Okay. Under public comment, we have Bob Patukis.
Bob Patukis, 231 Millbury Street, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. Swimming is a life skill, in my opinion, unlike baseball, unlike basketball or football. And the reason it has stuck with me as a life skill and not just a sport or an activity for recreation is I think it's needed by everyone. As a young man teaching at Woodland Street Community School in Worcester, 1971, one of my students who was a Golden Gloves boxing champion, little wiry guy, freckles, full of life, average student, was walking with his buddies along Coze's Pond in Worcester. And he fell somehow into Coze's Pond. None of his friends could pull him out. They couldn't do surface dives. He couldn't swim. He had spent all those years at the boys' club, but he had not learned how to swim. Since then, it has always stuck with me that swimming is not just a recreational activity. It is not just a sport. It is a life skill. And there will come some day when you or someone you know will need swimming skills to save a loved one, to save themselves if their car goes upside down in a stream or a pond. I know I've been there. And because I could swim, I got out. If I hadn't been able to swim, I'd be dead a long time ago. And I thank my father for having taught me at Camp Gleason. At that time, it was a great recreational area for picnics and swimming and contests. My father and all my uncles worked at American Steel and Wire. And at that time, they owned it. And they used it, and I swam there as a as a young child every summer and picnic there, and it's a wonderful recreation area. I realize that it may not be possible now. It may not be in the game plan for administration. Rotary Beach is another disappointment to me, though I never swam there. I think it's unfortunate that we can't bring it back for the youth of Auburn. But I have another solution. It is no good to complain without a solution. If you look into it, and I'm not sure it's available, I'm not sure it's suitable, but Century Sportsman's Club has a wonderful beach. It's already there, the pontoons are in, great picnic tables, driveway's a little rough. I listened with interest to the committee the other day. It was not mentioned. It is a resource that has been kept up by the Sportsman's Club. They rent their facilities. I've rented them myself and filled upstairs several times. Perhaps it would work out for swimming instruction. And I'm sure every parent wants their child to know how to swim. Again, it's not, in my opinion, just a sport. It's not just recreation. It's a life skill that we need to carry with us so that we could save someone's life, we could save our own life, or we could help someone else. I want to thank you for, I haven't done any other research other than this. I don't know if it's proper, if it would pass codes. I don't know if it's available. I only say it's a resource that's within the boundaries of Auburn, and it's beautiful there. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you're ever on the Mass Turnpike, just take a peek down, and you'll see it. Down below, it's a self-contained pond. The water from up above, you can see down to the bottom, so it looks fairly clean. I don't know if it would pass the test, but I want to thank you very much for listening, and I hope that the Recreation Department adopts this. I hope that the Select Board changes its view on the swimming and makes it a goal of the town. I think that it's a life skill. I know you're always willing to reconsider ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pilchukis. The next item, I'm sorry, Mrs. Maloney.
Yeah. Before we move on, I would just like to address the residents briefly.
Is it, I just,
It's relevant to public comment, but I have I have something that I'd like to share with the residents of Auburn.
okay, so is it under public comment?
I guess you could, if you want to call it public comment, that's fine.
Well, are you speaking as a resident?
No, I'm speaking as a selectman.
Okay, so now's not the appropriate time. We have a 7:05 hearing that was
Okay.
advertised.
I'll wait.
Okay, thank you. We have a 7:05 hearing, AMF Bowling, to transfer a malt, wine and malt to an all-alcohol license. Is there a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. The hearing is open. Is the applicant here? If you could come up to the microphone, please. First, give your name for the record, your names for the record.
How you doing? I'm Eric Mahoney. I've been with the company 11 years.
Robert Califano, I'm the district manager. I've been with the company 20 years.
Okay. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about why you're here and what your plan is.
The main reason we're here is based on a lot of feedback from our customers. We were approved about 5 years ago for a beer and wine license. It's been great, and our customers, continue to look for variety. And a lot of them want to know when are we going to get some mixed drinks and some frozen cocktails. So that on top of it, revenue's been a little stagnant, so this could help give us a little bit of boost in revenue and help us appeal to, wider variety of our customers, but more importantly, put us in line with a lot of our competitors. A lot of our competitors have full liquor licenses. So that's the main reason why we're here.
Mr. Holstrom?
Through the chair, excuse me. I know that it's set up down there for the wine and beer license, and they take it back to the lanes and they drink it there wherever. Are you going to have this, because if it's going to be a full alcohol license, going to be set up more of a bar or a pub style, or are you still going to maintain the same program as taking it back to the lanes to drink?
If approved, if in the short term, we can still operate the way the layout is right now, and we would still serve on the lanes. However, if approved, and speaking with our home office, there would be plans to construct an actual bar inside the location. So I think if we do get approved, you'll see plans put into place, and that could end up happening, sooner than later.
And just as a follow-up, have any of your other establishments got that same setup in their buildings?
Yep, Chicopee Lanes is full liquor license, same setup. Town and Country in Shrewsbury, same thing. Taunton Lanes as well. And recently, we were approved in Somerset for a full all liquor license, and we're getting ready to construct that bar this summer. They've never had a liquor license at that facility ever.
And
So-
the program has worked out positively for you.
Very good, yes. In the 5 years we've had the beer and the wine, we've had 0 violations.
Thank you.
Mr. Simonian?
So the picture we have in our packet, that is the existing layout or what it will be after?
No, that's existing.
Existing, okay. So you're saying some of this will be changed, there will be some sort of renovation to change this layout?
Correct. If approved, yeah, you'll probably see new plans to be proposed for a completely constructed new bar.
All right, thank you.
I'm not seeing it on the application. What are the hours of operation, and would those be the hours of service?
Yeah, what we currently have on the license now would remain the same.
Okay.
None of that would change. And we
Currently
have,
on your mall, wine and
correct.
malt license?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Holstrom?
Another question through the chair. Are all your servers tip certified? Is there any additional training that they would have, tip certification, serving a full bar?
Yeah, any one of our employees in the company who touches alcohol, serves alcohol, has to be tip certified. So we have have to be 100% on that at all times. In addition to that, we do wristbanding. So any customer who's of age, they get a wristband to help identify who's of age and can drink, which helps the management on the floor. And about a year ago, the company put a heightened standard in where it's one of our service standards that we card anybody who appears to be under 40. So I think that's something that we do above and beyond, most other establishments.
And the tip certification is in-house? Do you do anything in-house, or is it just by what the requirements are of the tip certification?
Right now, it's by the requirements. It's an online class, but Eric was actually a tips trainer at one point. We did classes, so we could easily get him recertified as a trainer to do in-house classes.
Okay, thank you.
What's your current practice of checking IDs?
We check the IDs with the liquor ID book that we have, but we also have an ID scanner that we purchased 5 years ago where we scan the license, make sure the picture is them, and then we scan it to make sure it's a valid ID.
Okay, so I should have been more clear. What's your practice on who you check an ID?
What do you mean?
Who you check IDs?
Anybody-
Some places say anyone who looks under 40, someone does
Yeah,
all
that's
of them.
right now, our practice is we check everybody's ID.
Everyone's.
Our company standard is anybody that looks under 40.
But you check everyone's?
We check everyone's.
That's great, thank you. Are there any other questions,
Quick
comments?
question. You have a scanner. Do you have support for the scanner? Does it get updated?
It gets updated every 6 months. It gets updated. We have to connect online, and then the company out of California updates it.
Okay, thank you.
So if the board votes to approve this tonight, an additional alteration, being a full bar would be a significant alteration, so you would have to come back before us if you make significant changes to what's presented tonight, and you've already indicated in the near future you intend to do that. So what would be approved tonight would be with this, this layout that was presented tonight.
Yep.
So, are there any other questions or comments? Are there any public question or comment? Is there a motion to close the
Motion to
hearing?
close the hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Is there a motion regarding the application.
Motion to approve the transfer to all alcohol license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Thank you.
Good luck, and thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
So the next item is B, the street layout hearing on Westview Street. And Mr. Coyle is next door at a hearing. I would recommend that we move up the unexpected item. Hold on one second, let me just see what number it is. G, it is 7G, vote to appoint two temporary registrars.
I'll make that motion that we move up item 7G.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. And I know I saw Ellen here. So this item was put on the agenda, and I do have an email correspondence that I would like to read in for the record, and it is from Attorney Hennigan. Ellen, this email is a follow-up to our phone conversation of earlier today. In our discussion, you inquired as to whether you could, under the open meeting law, bring an item of importance before the Board of Selectmen this evening, given that such an item was not put in the Board of Selectmen's agenda for tonight's meeting. General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20B states that a public body shall post a notice of its meeting, which shall contain the date, time, and place of such meeting, and a listing of topics that the chair reasonably anticipates will be discussed at the meeting. In our discussion this morning, you indicated that an issue had arisen today concerning the Board of Registrars, which required your immediate presentation of the issue to the Board of Selectmen. Given that the Chair of the Board of Selectmen could not have reasonably anticipated the issue that presents itself before you today, discussion of said issue with the Board of Selectmen would not, in my opinion, violate open meeting law. Ms. Gabriel, thank you. So could you please tell us why we're required to take action on this tonight?
Okay, I need to have two temporary registrars appointed, one Democrat and one Republican. The Democrat appointment would replace Dan Carpenter, who was the Democratic representative on the Board of Registrars. And the Republican appointee, temporary appointment, would be for the period during which Deborah Nurse, who is a Republican representative, is going to be in Italy. Today I received recount petitions. That recount has to be held within 10 days of the deadline of filing for recount petitions. So today it became apparent if I'm missing two registrars, we can't hold a recount. So I need the appointments made by the Board of Selectmen tonight so that we can hold the recount hearing. The Board of Registrars met tonight and set the recount for June 5th. It's a Thursday evening at 6 o'clock. I have talked to the Auburn Democratic Town Committee and the chair of the Republican Town Committee, and I have submitted two names for temporary appointment.
Okay.
Brent Anderson, representing the Republican Town Committee, and Joe Martin representing the Democratic Town Committee. Now, these are temporary appointments. The Democratic, Joe Martin's appointment representing the Democratic Town Committee would be until June 30th when the existing term expires. So you will need to contact, and I will put something in writing, the board will have to contact the Democratic Town Committee to put forth a candidate to fill the 3-year term after that.
Okay.
The Republican temporary appointment is only for the period that Deb Nurse is out of the country, and she's going to be gone until June 18th.
Okay.
So this would just be to cover the recount and any immediate results until she returns.
Okay. Other questions? Mr. Holstrom?
Excuse me, through the chair. Ellen, What is the number of people that are going to be doing the recount?
I haven't set that number yet.
You haven't set that number yet?
No.
But it'll be more than just the registrars?
The registrars sit as a board to deal with any objections that are raised. So I will have to schedule people to read and record ballots as they're looked at one at a time. I'm anticipating I will have 4 or 5 tables set up for that, 2 people per table, 1 to read, 1 to record. Need a total tally clerk, need runners. I mean, it's quite a, there's a few people involved, but the registrars sit to decide any objections that are raised during that recount process.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments? Did you have anything else, Helen? So we'll take 2 separate motions, 2 separate votes. The first would be as recommended by the Auburn Democratic Town Committee, Joseph Martin, until June 30th, 2013.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
I would just point out that it's 2014, not 2013.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. So we have, the Republican Town Committee has put forth the name Brent Anderson to serve as a registrar until June 18th, 2014. Is there a motion?
Motion to appoint Mr. Brent Anderson as the temporary registrar until the date of June 18th, 2014.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Thank you for
Okay,
coming
thank you
in.
very much.
So we're gonna, I think we're just gonna continue on the agenda until Mr. Coyle can come in. Sure. And if he feels that he doesn't need to come in, we can continue. So the next item would be Board of Selectmen general items. We have drain layer license for Mr. William Farmer. In your packet, you have the application and comments from Mr. Mitchell. He has paid his $100 for the application fee, and he has been previously licensed with the town, and per our policy, the sewer superintendent checks references. And they do not need to, they're not required to be here. So if there are no questions or comments, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town in any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void.
Is there, okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. We also have an application for a drain layers license, GJB Construction Services Incorporated, doing business as Joseph Berthiums and Sons. Same as the last one, they have provided their $100 for their license application. The sewer superintendent has checked references. They have been licensed in the town before and perform work that meets or exceeds the sewer department's rules and regulations. Are there any questions or comments on this one?
Just one. On this application, I know typically in the section that says state your experience, number of years in this type of business, we typically have that, and this one just says renew. If they're renewing it, that would indicate they have some years of experience. And I'm just curious. I know it seems like a technicality, but I don't recall ever seeing one that just said renew. As the last one does, it states exactly what is asked.
Yeah.
So I'm just pointing that out, and I don't know if the board wants to hold it up for that, but just pointing out that that experience is not indicated on the license as asked.
So, I think we certainly can point this out to Mr. Mitchell that we'd like to see that complete, not renewed. I'm guessing the applicant figured, you know, I've done business in here, you have it on the last, but we don't consider this a renewal.
I have
the
no doubt
applicant.
Mr. Mitchell, as he always does, attaches the email, and, you know, he knows these folks and vouches for him, and it's just, I don't want to hold it up, I'm just, you know, it's a technicality at this point, but just like to see the question answered.
Okay, so we can, if you want, if approved, we can send it back to Mr. Mitchell, ask him for just an updated copy for the file, and then ask him to be sure that those are completed before they're sent to us.
Fair enough.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all the conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void.
Second for discussion. Okay, so under discussion, I'm going to point out one more thing. Again, I think in the section below, give names, addresses of the last 5 sewer-related jobs done, follow up with at least 3 letters of recommendation. The previous application does have that. This one has, again, nothing in that block. Here, the next one says on file renewal, which if it's on file, I'm happy with, but it's just left blank. So I would ask that we also make note of that in whatever correspondence we send to Mr. Mitchell.
So we could include, in the motion that, you know, provided, the applicant has provided appropriate letters of recommendation.
Fair enough, if Mr. Holstrom wants
Yeah,
to.
I agree with that. I have no problem with
And
that.
I'll amend the second to include that.
So you'll amend your motion to include, provided the applicant has provided the required letters of recommendation?
Yep.
And you'll,
Yes.
okay. So we'll vote on the amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Now on the original motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. So we have the third one, Sataro Construction Corporation. Again, as Mr. Simonian pointed out, the references and letters of recommendation are listed as on file. These are not considered renewals, so we'll send a request to Mr. Mitchell that he be sure that we receive a completed application, so that we know that although he does see the recommendations and checks the references, that we know that they were at least included in the application. So are there any questions or comments on this application? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just,
Mr. Simonian?
under the initial discussion, did you ask, or was your note on this application that we would also, it would also be part of the motion that we would request Mr. Mitchell
Right.
to? Because
Okay,
I don't
so-
think that was part of the motion, so I'm just.
The motion to include that the appropriate 3 letters of recommendation are provided.
Yes.
The second? Who was the second? Okay.
The-
So a
Resect
vote,
that, absolutely.
so a vote on the amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. So we're back to the original. Anything else for discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Thank you. So we will be sure we get that information to Mr. Mitchell. So going back to agenda item 5B, it's a street layout hearing for West View Street. The hearing was continued. Is there a motion to reopen the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Mr. Coyle, welcome back. So when we first opened this hearing was continued because the planning board didn't have an opportunity, they did not have a quorum and therefore didn't have an opportunity to give the board a recommendation. Mr. Coyle?
Good evening. That's correct. The last time that I was before you with this item for the street layout hearing, I believe everything was in order from an engineering perspective, and we were waiting on the planning board to vote and make recommendation relative to the layout. I believe that's been done, and a report, I believe, has been submitted. From the engineering department would recommend that we accept the layout when we move forward to town meeting in the fall.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Coyle? Mr. Simonian?
No, and it's been a few weeks since we talked about this. So the section of West Street that we're talking about, again, can you just recap that really quickly?
Yes, this is the last...
Westview, sorry, Westview.
Westview, the last 267 feet of the roadway, approximately 370 feet had been constructed previously and had been accepted, and then it was extended and plans developed back in 1967. So for whatever reason the roadway was constructed, it was never accepted. So whether it was a developer that had never gone forward back in the 70s, town planners or engineers were part-time back then, so I think something just fell through the cracks and the road was never accepted. It was constructed in accordance to the plan, but hadn't been accepted.
I remember now, thanks.
Are there any other questions or comments on this? Is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. Is there a motion regarding the layout?
Make a motion that we recommend approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just
Go ahead.
through the chair. So this has to go back to town meeting now.
Correct.
After this. So sometime in the fall. And then it will be, that, if town meeting accepts it, then it will move on as public road, everything we've discussed, past meetings. It will be at that meeting that it will.
That's correct. This was
All right.
originally a citizen's petition,
Right.
which, as you know, only required the 10 votes for the annual town meeting. So because this will now come up in the fall town meeting, I'm going to be the petitioner at that point, so that the original petitioner won't have to go through the process in the fall.
So it requires a whole new petition, even though it was previously submitted. It has to be done that way,
I would be the one that would be bringing it to town meeting floor.
Okay, all right, that's
It would be
fine.
town engineer's article.
Thanks.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. Thank you, Mr. Coyle.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the Director of the Board of Health and the Chair of the Solid Waste Committee is here. Can I make a motion that we move up item 7A?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. Hold on a second. I think you're 8A, just for the record, 8A.
Oh, on the new one, it says 7A, under Town Manager items.
8A, yes. Oh, you know what, you're up, the other...
I'm using the one we got.
To move the Board of Health, is there a motion to move up the Board of Health and Solid Waste Advisory Committee announcement?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. Thank you. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. The Solid Waste Advisory Committee, in conjunction with the Board of Health, we're announcing that the compost bins are ready for sale, and we also have kitchen scrap buckets. I forgot to bring this up. So...
Amy, can you just introduce yourself for the record, please?
Sure. I'm Amy Sullivan. I'm the chair of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
And we obtained a grant through Mass DEP to purchase 20 of these Earth Machine compost bins, and we got 26 of these kitchen scrap buckets. So they will be for sale, available through the Board of Health. The big compost bin is $55 each, and these scrap buckets will be $10 each. And we'll sustain the fund with that amount. When the initial 20 are gone, we'll purchase more. If people are interested, we'll continue to buy them and sell them to residents. So obviously this will keep our trash disposal costs down. That is our main goal, to try to keep the food scraps out of the trash, keeping the disposal costs down. And Adding compost to soil greatly improves the soil quality, so it's a win-win. We also obtained instructional brochures through DEP, so when people purchase these, they'll get some information. There's also information up on our website. There's links to the DEP website with instructions. We're also going to ask the cable TV to run a little instructional program on composting. So,
Can you just tell me about the fees again? It's
so they're going to be this is called an Earth Machine, is the name brand of it. It's $55 through our program. I think if you go to Home Depot, they're $100 each, so it's still a benefit to get it through the town's program. And these little scrap buckets are $10 each.
okay. And is that a purchase to own?
Yeah, they're for sale. So the
$55
state
you
provided the
buy it
grant.
and it's yours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
And are they available immediately?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay. Back to the agenda. Let me just see where we're at now. I think we're at Mr. Bernie's request. In your packet, you have a request for a letter of support for submission of open space and recreation plan from Mr. Bernie. As you are aware, the Open Space Committee and the Planning Division have completed a draft open space and recreation plan. This plan is being prepared for submission to the Department of Conservation Services. A majority of the Board of Selectmen attended the April 30th, 2014 Open Space Forum and provided some pointed and valuable input into the direction and content of the plan. For this reason, I am asking that the Board submit a formal letter of support for the plan submission. Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Simonian?
Just one, through the chair. Based on what I saw attending the meeting that evening, I'm happy to support it. I would just ask one question: if there were any updates made to that plan since that meeting, if we could get a copy, just thrown in our mailbox over in the other building. I'd just like to take a look at it, but like I said, I'm happy to support it. I thought it was pretty well done for the most part, and there were just a couple of things, so.
Through the chair, we're happy to get a copy to the board. We can probably either put a copy in your box, or we can see if we can get you a PDF version of it,
That's
whatever
fine.
would be
If
easier.
they want to email it to me, it'll be faster. Appreciate it.
Are there any other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we send a letter of support to for the open space and recreation plan.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. There is no gift acceptance under proclamations. As members are aware, we were invited to an open house at RE/MAX in Auburn, and they requested a proclamation from the Board of Selectmen. So we prepared a generic proclamation just with a typewritten signature from the Auburn Board of Selectmen. There were no signatures on it, so I just asked for a vote to ratify the proclamation for RE/MAX.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. And under proclamations, and this is, it's a proclamation, but it's Mr. Carpenter's the one that requested a vote to issue a proclamation for Mr. Grossman. Did you want to say anything, Mr. Carpenter?
Yeah, obviously, you all served with Bob, and there were other selectmen, now former selectmen, who served with Bob. When we issue the proclamation, should you vote to support issuing a proclamation to him, which I think is very well deserved, I would hope that we'd have some sort of ceremony, make it a little special, in that he did serve for 18 years on the board, and it would be nice for him and his former colleagues, as well as his current colleagues on the board, to wish him well. So that would be my only request.
Is there any discussion or
I
comment?
think that'd be well-deserved.
Is there a motion? Mr.
Just
Simonian?
do you want to do this as part of a meeting or a separate?
I know we have a
Just
fifth
curious.
meeting next month. I don't know if we want to wait that long, and I don't know what the agenda's going to be, but I would think it would be during a meeting, but
That's fine.
block out, half an hour or more, just so that his family and friends can come as well, and, make it a nice occasion for him.
Is there a motion?
I will make a motion that we issue a proclamation for Robert Grossman.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Also in your packet, we have a request from the Girl Scouts of Central and Western Massachusetts. Enclosed is a request from Katie Chappelle of the Girl Scouts of Central and Western Mass, requesting recognition of the girls who will be receiving the Girl Scout Gold Award on June 14th, 2014. And we have one Auburn resident, Maria Coughlin, who is receiving her Girl Scout Gold Award. Is there a motion?
I would make a motion that we issue a proclamation I'm sorry, I do have it right here, for Maria Coughlin of Auburn for her great accomplishment with the Girl Scouts.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. We've done the appointments, town manager items. We've handled, there are no tabled items. There are no Board of Selectmen member items. Public comment? Is there any additional public comment?
Did you ask for Board of Selectmen items? I just have a quick comment.
Okay.
In regards to the Open Space Committee. Who is the appointing authority for the Open Space Committee?
The manager.
So this would be inappropriate for the board to send out a letter of thanks. I don't know if you individually do that, send out a letter of thanks. I know this board used to do that under the old charter, but certainly that would be something, they did spend several years working on it, so it would be nice if we acknowledge the volunteers in that way. So it's really a question versus I'll put away my soapbox, I apologize.
Through the chair, certainly it would be appropriate for the Board of Selectmen to send a letter of thanks, and just for Mr. Carpenter to know whenever anyone leaves a board or commission, or their appointment is done, or they resign, we do send a letter of thanks, and we also send a certificate of appreciation for their service to the community.
Thank you.
Mr. Carpenter, what board specifically did you just mention? The
Open space.
Open space,
Open
okay.
space.
So it's certainly, the open space is on the agenda, so we can certainly entertain a motion to send a letter to the members for their work.
I'll make a motion that that the Board of Selectmen sends a letter to the members of the Open Space and Recreation Committee, thanking them for their service and for the work on the wonderful plan.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. We're at public comment. Mr. Page first, and then I'll have you speak. Go ahead, Mrs. Page.
Good evening and congratulations to the two that won the election. What I'd like to ask is, I had came up here approximately 4 meetings ago and asking about packets. I was told I was going to get a response, and I have not received a response as of yet.
Okay, I can tell you what happens with the packets.
No, when it was a certain person that we had discussed about the packet, why they were getting it.
Right, I can give you that response.
Okay.
The packet is not for an individual, it's for the cable committee. The packet is on the table here when they arrive, and one of them pick up the packet. It's not given prior to the meeting. Several packets are prepared for the media and cable. I believe there's 3 that are prepared and left on the counter here, and they pick them up on their way in.
And question to that one is, how long has cable been getting the packet?
For a long time, they have to prep for, they prep for the meeting. They start typing in names if someone's doing a presentation, type in an agenda item. For quite some time, they've been getting them.
But the thing is the agenda's already set when you give them the packet.
I'm sorry, say that again?
When you give them the packet, the agenda's already been set on cable TV for the meeting.
That's correct.
Okay. So, okay, and another thing is there's been a lot of things going on in the town that have been not very politically correct, or we need to get our town back together to work together and not be sitting here arguing over this, that, and the other thing. But I would just like to make one comment, because it bothered me very much at town meeting, that I went into my town meeting early to talk to somebody about the Purple Hat Monument. And I saw somebody putting pamphlets on the chairs. Her name was Tricia Joyce. And I went to look at it, and she yelled at me and says, "You cannot look at this. It's for town meeting members." Then I picked one up, and I said that, well, I was going to take one, and she looked at me and says, "You cannot take one of them." She yelled at me again, and continued putting them on the chairs, and went out the door. My whole point is, you can yell at me all day, it doesn't matter. I can take it. But my point is, there's been so many different people being talked about it, and different people being blamed about it, and people saying that I have said different people have done it, is totally incorrect. It was Tricia Joyce. I saw her. There was nobody else putting them on that day. And I just want to clear that issue up. All the rest of it, you guys can take care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simone?
Yep. So, I just want to address some things that have been going on recently. And I'm just going to read a statement that I prepared to address all of it. Because I agree with Mr. Page. The voters have obviously supported change here, and hopefully that with that change, we will be able to work together as a team. That said, over the past couple of weeks, whether you realize it or not, you have witnessed several of the most un-American, anti-constitutional acts committed against me. Perhaps you read it in the newspaper, maybe you heard it on the radio. Either way, it does not matter. As Mr. Page just spoke of, on the evening of town meeting, unauthorized political flyers were placed on the chairs of the Auburn High School seats, where the town meeting members would sit. These flyers mentioned me directly, and according to the witnesses, they were placed there by a member of the Auburn Democratic Town Committee, who is also a very close friend of the chair. These flyers contain no information as to who was responsible for them, nor who paid for them. And because I made my intention clear that I would be sending a letter to the Organization for Campaign and Political Finance and to the Inspector General to let them decide if there was any violation, I was summarily attacked by several people. Once I made that statement, I was immediately attacked by a former selectman who got into my face and screamed at me. I was subjected then to a series of people piling on top of the initial attack, including being sworn at by a member of our cable committee. In a Gestapo-like effort to once again silence me, because I responded to those attacks and stood up for myself, people are using what amounts to nothing more than verbal disagreements that occurred on the evening of town meeting to blow it up into something more, and as always, drag my name through the media in a negative way. Those same people have come here over the years and attacked me time and time again, because they do not like me or because my opinion differs from theirs. And they have now moved into the realm of using the Auburn Police Department as a tool to intimidate me and anyone else that speaks their mind and/or differs in opinion.
Madam Chair, this goes back to a lot of the statements that Mr. Page has made, and that Mr. Simone had also made note of, that they wanted to try to get this squared away and just kind of put this behind us and move forward and work together. And I don't see that this is going to help us, it's going to divide us.
Point of order. We have at several times discussed on this board interruptions. I was granted the floor to speak. Mr. Holstrom was not. Mr. Holstrom continuously has interrupted me without following protocol when I am speaking.
I'm going
I have a right-
I'm going to address the point of order and Mr. Holstrom. I'm going to allow Mr. Simonian to speak, although he's had it on the agenda twice now and decided that he was going to hold the item and not discuss it at this meeting. I want on the record that he withdrew this and then tonight put it on the agenda. So we are going to let Mr. Simonian finish his statement. We're going to have any additional comment, and then we are done with this.
I disagree with that statement. This is not the agenda item that I asked to remove from the agenda. So, to continue, I want to be clear, I do not blame the Auburn Police Department in any way. They are only doing what they are told to do. You have all been witness to the number of times that the chair has raised her voice to me and in several cases waved the gavel at me. Many people over the years have commented to me that they felt it was a menacing act. Yet I did not run to the Auburn Police and file a report every time this happened, because I don't feel the need to waste time and resources on what is nothing more than a difference of opinion. Several times, people have been allowed to stand at the podium and viciously attack me. And even though several times I have felt unsafe leaving this building because of those attacks, I still have never gone and wasted the time of the Auburn Police Department to file reports. On 2 separate occasions, when I have left town meeting, I have discovered a nail in the tire of my vehicle. And even though on both of those occasions, the person who repaired that said it didn't look like something that I ran over, I still never went and filed any report with the Auburn Police Department. Several weeks ago, I asked a simple question as to why we need an Auburn Police Department president at every selectman meeting. Through the course of that discussion, the town manager's comments towards me became very agitated and angry. Should I have filed a police report for that incident? Absolutely not. It was a difference of opinion. But you can see how quickly this foolishness can escalate. Whether anyone likes it or not, our way of government allows for discord, it allows for debate, discussion, and questioning. It has been that way for roughly 240 years. It is not an easy form of government because in order to truly believe in it and participate in it, you have to sometimes watch others advocate at the top of their lungs for or against something which you have spent considerable time advocating the opposite side. This type of discussion, debate, and disagreement, though sometimes very heated, goes on every day in our state and federal government, without police reports being filed every time someone disagrees. These people that are attacking me are doing nothing more than trying to usurp our rights and force us into silence. Yesterday we celebrated Memorial Day. We honored our servicemen and women whose lives were taken in defense of our great nation and in defense of all that we believe in. The chair herself spoke of never forgetting those whose lives were lost to preserve our freedom. And yet, an innocent disagreement is spun into attempt to deny me of those very rights. Because people disagree, and yes, sometimes loudly, that does not mean that violence is imminent. Because I exercise my right to disagree, and all efforts to date have failed to silence me or make me fall in line with them, the new course of action is to use the local media to bully me. It does not take long to look throughout the world's history and find that these actions have long been the tactics of tyrants and despots who attempt to silence and control anyone that speaks against them. And let's be honest, that's all that's going on here in Auburn today. I am your voice. I have been here for 4 years, and all of you know that I have no agenda other than to do your business. That is the only reason that several of these people hate me. If you have any question as to whether that's going on, you need to look no further than the zoning board or the planning board and see that members who speak their mind and would not be controlled by this group have been quickly dispatched and replaced with people who will fall in line. That said, I made it clear 4 years ago, I am here to do the business of the residents and nothing else. So to that end, I make this pledge to you from this moment on. I will not get bogged down in the minutia anymore. I will not get dragged into personal disagreements. And it is clear to everyone that there are people here who have personal vendettas against me, and I will not respond to these personal attacks. I've listened to the residents for 4 years, and that is not going to change. I've heard 2 resounding messages over and over through the last 4 years. Tax increases are hurting you, and we need to do a better job getting roads repaired. Therefore, I will not support any budget that raises our taxes, and I will support initiatives to put as much money as possible into roads. And lastly, Mr. Carpenter, I think that your campaign idea to revisit the charter and make some adjustments is a fantastic idea, and I look forward to working with you in that endeavor. Thank you.
So I am, because she was mentioned by name twice, I am going to address the information that I have regarding the flyers that were left at town meeting. Yes, it was Mrs. Joyce who left those flyers on the chair. She did not do it at the direction of anyone. She did it on her own. She's a longtime resident and volunteer, and after the meeting that she referenced on those flyers, she approached me and was very upset because she was surprised that this entire board sat there while Mr. Simonian stated it was a fact, and that's the word he used, that there were 41 town meeting members sleeping. People were offended by that. I certainly have never seen 41 town meeting members sleeping, and questioned why we didn't challenge Mr. Simonian on that. What Mrs. Joyce did after that was contacted, from what she's told me, the appropriate people to ask how to put information for town meeting members. It was not considered a political flyer. It was information. It was information that was words that Mr. Simonian used. Mr. Simonian never made a statement to me about contacting Office of Campaign and Political Finance or the Inspector General. So to say that actions changed after a statement like that, that just never happened. He never made that statement to me. Regarding the Auburn Police and the local media, I never contacted the local media. Yes, I have contacted the Auburn Police, and that dates back a couple of years ago. And it is my understanding that an article was in the works. You forget we have a telegram reporter, not just here, but at town meeting, who witnessed all that happened at town meeting. Regarding personal attacks, we're all responsible for our own words. We need to choose our words carefully. When you choose to use words, then you have to live by them, and you have to bear the consequences of them. If you state publicly that you observed something or it was a fact, those are your words. You have to live by them.
I have no problem with that. I observed it. It is a fact.
So for the record again, you're stating that you observed within the first half hour of town meeting, because that's when the presentations are, you observed 41 people sleeping?
Absolutely. And those presentations have gone on longer than half an hour. So again, we're getting bogged down in the minutia. It's senseless. It is what it is. I'm not going to hide from anything I said, unlike other people.
Okay, so if anyone has anything they want to add to this, feel free, but otherwise, this is done. We are done with this. Moving on, we have the minutes of, let me check the date. We have the minutes of September 23rd, 2013, the minutes of September 30th, 2013. Are there any corrections or omissions?
I believe so.
If none, the chair will accept them as written. Is there any other business before the board? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you. Good night.